This is Rabbi Weinberg with our podcast, or whatever you want to call it, um, How to Stay Married for Men. Again, I've written Kabbalah Love. It's been an international course, televised. I'll try to put a link below. And I'm also an accredited family mediator. Mediation is the way to go. And today's little talk, I'm going to talk about mediation, how I got into it, why it's so important, and why it's basically the best technique to save a marriage. So we've discussed many techniques which you could and should use on your own, but the fact is, the Rebbe says that the Satan puts most of his effort into breaking up marriages, and he's pretty successful. So there's kind of this friction that goes on, and that friction becomes contention, and the contention almost becomes this like little war or something. And effectively, after I got divorced, I was really looking to understand what went wrong. And, you know, I like to say I don't have many talents, but one talent I do have, which is the truth. And I'll spend years until I discover the fundamental reason behind something. For example, I spent years understanding, why does Iran want nuclear weapons? Like, what do they need it for? Until I finally found an Iranian, and I asked him, he was like, oh, that's simple. They are what we would call radical. They don't think it's radical, but a religious group, part of the Shiite movement. And the Shiite movement believes, in his words, when the world will be filled with blood up to a horse's knee, the Messiah will come. Simple. They want to blow up the world. And the more blood there's flowing, the sooner they think the Messiah will come. That's why. So once you get to the core of a question, once you really answer that why, then there are no more questions because you understand. Now, moving right along to marriage, so the question is, why are we so unsuccessful? Why is their divorce rate normally is 50%? By millennials, it's 70%. And that's after so many failed relationships before, at least 7 of them. So what's going on? Why are we so unsuccessful? And the answer is because marriage really depends on one thing. And if you get this one thing right, it will work. And a friend of mine who unfortunately also got divorced, thank God I'm remarried, and hopefully he will too. But he told me that a psychologist once told him that I never met 2 mature people that got divorced. And there's very good truth to that. Because when we're mature, certainly in my second marriage, I'm more mature than my first, we don't need to be right. An immature person needs to be right. The ego is very attached to their opinions, and they can't handle not being right. And if you can't handle not being right, I like to say the most important lesson I learned in life is the word no. Not me saying no, but no being said to me. Because you can say no to me and it ain't going to bother me. I'm going to kind of roll with the punches. I'm going to keep on going. Because when we're young, the worst word in the world is no. It's like a personal offense. But the older we get, the more we kind of roll with the punches. That's okay. We'll do something else. Now, why is this so important? Because effectively, no marriage needs to dissolve over stupid things. What needs to happen to make a marriage work? This is based on the Rebbe and based on a lot of current research, is you basically need to know how to compromise with each other, right? You need to be mature. A marriage is not my way. A marriage is our way. And the question is, how do you get to our way? What do you do? And so there's a beautiful letter from the Rebbe, and I'll try to put a link to it, where effectively he says that anything that comes up in a marriage, is particularly writing to a husband, and it's probably a little bit more relevant for men. I think women by nature hopefully understand the nature of compromise better. But it's like anything that your wife says, you have to give patient consideration. He says you got to stop your preoccupations, okay? You're busy, I don't know, with this. And a lot of times we're like, I don't want to deal with it. No, you have to deal with it. You have to, because the marriage is not so much about right and wrong. It's about compromise. It's about our way, right? And so now the question is, what is our way, right? So the example that I'd like to give is, let's say your wife says, I want to go on vacation to California. You're like, no, I want to go to New York. So you got a problem. You have to compromise. Maybe you say, okay, this time California, honey, and next time New York. Okay, that's our way. Our way means you both agreed on what to do. And it's really that simple. And, the thousands of cases of people trying to get divorced through mediation, they were saved. And what is mediation? As a mediator, mediators do not look for right and wrong. We're not looking for your childhood traumas, which a lot of that is just garbage, because in the end of the day, maturity grows sometimes from trauma, and maturity is about basically compromising and making a decision and going with it. So it's all about getting together, hopefully without a mediator, but if you need a mediator, and effectively, constantly, you have to know marriage is a constant our way. And our way can't be one person's way against the other. Our way means that we are both going to decide on our future together. And hopefully major things get decided on. And I have a marriage mediation sheet. I'll try to put that in. But the bottom line is that, you should have a basic, obviously, let's say if you're Jewish and religious, that's the basic foundation. So that's a basic thing. But then there are the small things. You have to be able to talk it through. You have to be able to compromise. If you can't talk it through, can't compromise, it's going to fail. Because at some point, at least in giving this example, the wife is going to be like, I can't get my way. I can't get anything done here. And she's going to feel like she doesn't have a way. She's a real person. She has desires. She has what she wants. And if you don't accommodate her, then eventually it's not going to be worth it for her, and she's going to go. So you have to be able to slow down. Whenever she says something, you have to okay, let me give this patient consideration. She's a real person with real desires, with real needs, and together we're going to work it out. It's not 100% like a lot of people like to say, oh, you have to give 100%. No, you don't have to give 100%. You have to give 50%. 50% both people have to give. According to Judaism, the man is obligated to, bring in the money. But the woman is obligated, the rabbi said, to clean the home and cook the food. Why? Because it wouldn't be fair. He has to clean the home, cook the food, and bring in the money. No, there has to be a compromise. Okay, it could be the other way around, but it has to be discussed. It has to be agreed to. Because, as long as there's agreement, it's going to work. As long as there's disagreement, it's not going to work. And it's really just that simple. It's about coming to the place of agreement. If you need my services, you're welcome to reach out. And a really good luck on this most important factor for marriage.